Planet Dolan.
From mysterious brothers refusing to help fix bicycles to strangers who couldn't care less about your pain, the Planet Dolan crew reenacts some of the best true stories from our subreddit about times people refused to help. I'm Hellbent, and today I'll be your narrator. Number 10 was submitted by Remontar. When Dolan was 9 years old, he was riding his bike that had something wrong with it, but he couldn't tell what it was. He kept riding when suddenly the chains broke and he crashed into a fence. He immediately jumped off the bike, but at the exact moment he stood up, a soccer ball flew straight into his balls. After he stumbled home, he asked his mysterious older brother, who is very good at repairing bikes, but he refused to because he had a hot date. Luckily, Dolan's grandfather repaired it and even gave him a new basket for the front of his bike. Number 9 was submitted by Circlesareshapes. When Pringle was in 6th grade, he had a horrible sleep apnea because his tonsils were a bit too big for his throat. It was impossible for him to sleep longer than 30 minutes without choking and waking up. This made it really hard for him to do well in school, and even though he was typically a good student, his grades had fallen due to a lack of sleep. His mom took him to a sleep specialist, but his results somehow got mixed up with someone else's, and the study was deemed inconclusive and they refused to do surgery. When his sleep study data was eventually recovered, the pediatrician said Pringle had one of the worst cases of sleep apnea she'd ever seen. Number 8 was submitted by Mute Moth. When Dolan's brother was 12 years old, he went to a roller skating rink with his school. At one point, he really needed to use the bathroom, but he didn't want to take his skates off. He saw other kids doing it, so he figured it was no big deal. Within a few seconds, he slipped and fell backwards on the tiles. When he tried to get back up, he felt this excruciating pain in his left arm. The other kids just stared at him and walked away while he screamed on the floor. Eventually, he dragged himself out of the room and flagged down a teacher who saw his broken arm and called an ambulance. Number 7 was submitted by Ashleythejuhsaz. Doopy had hurt her knee at a trampoline park when she was 15 years old. It was at the beginning of sophomore year and she was limping on crutches. At the end of the day, she was walking down a long hall from the choir room. It had rained outside, so the floor was a little slippery and her crutches slipped out from under her. She fell on the floor with her heavy backpack on and couldn't stand up. 5 or 6 people walked on by and just stared at her. Finally, one of the teachers saw her sitting on the floor, struggling to stand up, and ended up helping her back to safety. Number 6 was submitted by frodofox. Melissa was working in a grocery store, and one day she was assigned to work at the self-scan registers. She was cashing up a check for one customer when another one came up to her and told her that her item didn't have a barcode. So Melissa nicely asked her coworker, who was not busy and just talking to a friend, if she could help this customer. Her coworker flat out said to her face, "Is it too hard to do it yourself?" Melissa explained that she was already helping a customer, and they argued until the customer yelled at her coworker, calling her rude. That was the only time Melissa was happy to see a customer getting angry. Number 5 was submitted by Cheyenne8. One time when Gooby was 12, she needed help with her math homework, and the only 2 people that were home were her mom and sister. Her sister wasn't in the room, but her mom was, so she asked her. Gooby sat there repeatedly asking for help, but her mom refused to even notice her. When her sister yelled from the house for her, Gooby's mom went to find her sister to help with whatever she needed help with. She ended up failing that assignment, and it caused her to fail the whole class. The worst part was her mom even grounded her for failing. Number 4 was submitted by dooleyreed. One time when Sweet Commando was young, he went over to his friend Emoji's house to show him the Pokemon cards he got for Christmas. It was snowing at the time and getting dark. Emoji's grandma answered the door and told Sweet Commando she doesn't want Emoji outside in the cold. After they argued for a while, Emoji's grandma took Sweet Commando's first edition holographic Charizard and ripped it into 3 pieces. He walked home angry and very cold. Number 3 was submitted by P. Sorrow. When Honeybits was a baby, her mom accidentally locked her keys in the car with Honeybits still inside. Her mom was panicking, trying her hardest to get her out when this woman walked up to her mom, looked at her, then looked at Honeybits in the car seat and said calmly, "She's going to die in there, you know that?" and walked away without helping. Luckily, her mom finally found someone to help her break into the car, but she'll never forget how unhelpful that stranger was. Number 2 was submitted by Fearmetitans. When he was younger, Slapped Ham went to a bookstore to buy a new book for school. As he was walking home, he tripped and twisted his ankle really badly. He wanted to call his parents or a friend so they could pick him up, but he'd forgotten to bring his phone. As he sat there in pain, a man came over and asked him if he needed help, and Slapped Ham said yes with tears in his eyes. But instead of helping him up, the man threw some money at him and walked away. Thanks for nothing, guy. Number 1 was submitted by me, Hellbent. One week I was extremely busy. I didn't have enough time to get any of my work done, and I really needed some help. So I asked Pringle, Doopy, Dolan, the whole entire crew, but nobody could lend me a hand. So in a rush, I got everything I needed to do that week done. I'm talking 30-hour days, 2 hours of sleep a night, which are more like naps now that I think about it. But point is, I got shit done. With the final piece of work being this countdown right here. And with this finally finished, fuck all of you, I'm going to sleep! Huge thanks to the folks over on our Planet Dolan subreddit for submitting their stories. We have another question for you. What's the stupidest fight you've ever had with your siblings? Let us know on the Reddit page linked below and you might be featured in a future countdown. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.
Call it a day, but her horse riding instructor said riding during a thunderstorm was good practice. Ladybut's horse was preparing to go over a jump. Ladybut knew they were going way too fast, but she couldn't stop it. As they approached the jump, lightning lit